So I start opening drawers and looking for like next of kin stuff and whatever paperwork is there. When I hear, can I get FD to my location? I'm like, why are you getting FD? She's dead.
She wasn't dead?
Oh, no.
She was too fresh.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Never let Syeeta catch you napping. This is 56, a Pinellas County Sheriff's Office podcast. I'm Ricky Butler with Laura Sullivan and Ashley Cooley. Today, we kind of have a repeat guest, but not really, because Deputy Syeeta Robinson-DeBerg actually sat in as part of her role in staff inspections when we recorded our very first episode. We're excited to have her back as our guest. So we're going to learn all about Syeeta, but first, Ashley has a question. This is the worst part, by the way.
If you were at all nervous coming in, this is the scariest part. So once you get through this.
I literally just said that. I'm ready, though.
I don't know about that. What is a food combination that you swear by, but other people judge you for?
Food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really boring with food. I'm very curious to hear your answer, because you are also pretty boring.
My answer's weird. But, yeah. I wanted to see if anybody else has one.
I like so many foods that people consider weird in general. I mean, you know my sardine thing. Sardines with bacon pepper jam.
Yep, that's it. Winner,
Okay.
winner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Laura
We're
wins.
done.
You win. Yeah, that's,
All right,
that's
moving on.
weirder than mine.
How does that even happen?
How did you find that out?
Did you
it's
did
kind-
you trip in the
It's
grocery
kind of
store?
like the Reese's peanut butter cup.
No,
yeah.
it is nothing like the Reese's peanut butter cup. It is something bad happened. How did that happen?
I don't want to talk about my trauma on this podcast.
Okay, all right. I mean, because that sounds traumatic, just your combination. So, all right,
Wow.
moving on.
I have nothing like that, and I love eating. So everybody knows that I eat everything all the time, but nothing
Except sardines.
But nothing nasty like that. So
As she gestures towards you.
totally judging. I'm
No,
sorry.
nasty. No, judge away.
That brought me back to my grandfather. He used to eat sardines in that can. And I was like, eats.
There it is.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Right. So no. What I will do though is I'm a candy person. So M&Ms and Skittles, I have to separate them before I eat them. Is that like it's mandatory?
Where do they come together?
Well,
You mean
you
by-
eat them together?
No. Oh, I'm so sorry.
you separate-
Excuse me. Thank you. Thank
okay.
you.
Okay, all right.
Like a bag of
I
Skittles.
was like, I've
have
never
to
had
separate them by
separated.
color.
Yes.
Oh,
I
I was
see.
like,
segregate your
I've
M&Ms?
never got a bag. Oh, you
Don't do that. I do.
Interesting.
And then another thing is, salt and vinegar potato chips, Lay's, and Smart Food. That works. You ever try that together?
Oh.
What's smart food? Is
Like
that
the
the popcorn?
popcorn?
The popcorn? Okay. All right.
That sounds good, actually.
I genuinely
really
do not think I have any weird food combination that I like that throws other people off. I eat some things like by itself. Like I'll just I grew up eating tuna, like out of the can, and I will just straight up eat tuna out of the can without doing anything else to it. But that's
If you
about
put
as
bacon pepper jam on it, you'd be happier.
Probably
maybe
not.
maybe. Haven't tried it, but I cannot think of a single thing that I really swear by, a combination that makes other people like I'm very normal and average. Like I'm not even gonna try to go there because it's not even exciting.
I mean, I think the tuna straight out of the can is something.
Tuna straight up, yeah. I mean,
I've done that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard no for me all day, every day.
Not Laura's?
That's a harder no. That's a harder no.
Yeah.
So I grew up eating this. I don't know where my family got it from, but grilled cheese, but then like preserves with it, like jelly.
Like pepper bacon jam.
Not that. No.
I think everything's better with
no
pepper,
bacon in my jam. Like I'll do raspberry preserves, so it's that savory and sweet.
That actually sounds good. I kind of want to try that.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a Monte Cristo?
Yes.
So that's what
It's
I
like
think
that
it's
without
born
the
from,
dipping
but
in
it's
the
without
raspberry.
being deep fried. It's without ham in it, basically.
Yeah.
So
No, I like it. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
No.
I would
What's-
try that, but still not cheese.
What is the difference between preserve and jam? You're the environmentalist.
You looked the right direction.
Yes.
I'm learning.
Well,
I think jelly is jelly. I know you didn't ask about jelly, but
I didn't,
I think
but let's go there, yeah.
jelly is strained, so it's doesn't have little bits of fruit or anything in it. I think jam is thicker and preserves is maybe the thickest. I think it's like a continuum
And
from
then different
jelly to
levels.
jam to
Allison
preserves.
is nodding. Are we on to something
Is
here?
that about it?
Okay, we're
Okay.
getting there. All right, that's good enough. That answers my question. I didn't know we had a closet jelly expert, liquefied fruit guy. Okay,
I also know the difference between a jungle and a forest.
we did. We learned that from Corporal Feinberg. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Syeeta, you have really a curious route to law enforcement. And I think we've noticed a trend after our last episode with Corporal Feinberg. He's from Massachusetts.
Wow.
Boston
She's from
specifically.
Massachusetts.
Really?
Yeah.
So we're on to something
we're
here.
doing something
Yeah.
here.
All right.
And in general, a Northeast trend.
Yeah.
But
That's
before
right.
that,
Yeah. We're on to
We're the
something
fun
here.
ones.
We're not sure what. First it was white bald guys, and now we've graduated
Yeah, very
to
different.
geographic. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So how you really have a kind of a cool story finding your way into law enforcement. So tell us about that. When you were a kid, is that what you wanted to be? What were your career goals?
Well, maybe also start where were you?
Oh yeah, that too.
That,
That
like,
too.
yeah.
It's been a long day.
I don't think we said that.
We didn't.
Yeah. No, when I was a kid, absolutely not. And not that I didn't like law enforcement. I just didn't think that was anything on my mind or radar at the time. So I left. Excuse me. Let me stay in Massachusetts for a little while. And I'm gonna go back because I did
Please.
hear. I'm gonna jump all over the place.
Please.
That's me,
That's okay.
squirrel.
We
you
don't-
just
yeah.
go with it.
Absolutely.
And,
Go
okay,
for it.
good.
That's what we
That's
do.
how my brain works.
Right.
So.
Thank you, because this is going to go bad really fast.
No, it won't.
However, every time I listen to these podcasts, somebody says something about things they say or know from, and nobody recognizes it. Who said nip? That they drink nips, those little bottles of wine.
Detective Plum.
Yeah, Plum.
Killed it. I know what that was. When he
Yeah.
said it, I laughed so
Nice.
hard. I'm like, yeah, I know what a nip is, right?
Right.
But just yesterday, somebody was giving me directions, and he said, well, you're going to go ahead and bust a Yui and come back this way. And I said, that is another word that people don't use. A Yui, have you heard that?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I heard that one, yeah.
Apparently,
Specifically, bust a Yui.
yeah, he said bust a Yui. And I was thinking, yeah, that's what I said. But apparently, at one point, somebody said that's not a thing, and they never called it a Yui. And also a rotary. I guess people call it a turnabout here. I never heard of a turnabout, but
A roundabout.
yeah, a roundabout.
Are you from
yeah.
another planet? A turnabout.
It's called a rotary. I don't even know what
Rotary.
either one of those were until I got
That's
here.
a phone.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, rotary! It's a rotary in Massachusetts that
they
you
call it
go
rotary.
through a rotary.
dang.
Look at that.
And there were So anyway, so
We'll
side
be able
note.
to compile like a Rosetta Stone of
I think we should.
Yeah.
regional sayings.
Yeah.
Sponsored
Another
by
word.
56.
Glossary.
I knew someone, instead of saying like road, he would say on the main drag. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
heard
he was
main
he was
drag. I've heard
northern. Yeah. It's
Down
like,
here in Florida.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. It's a road.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
All right. So
Back to
Little Syeeta in Massachusetts
yes. Well,
or wherever.
yeah, right. Well, by way of Brooklyn, I was born in New York. I was a little seed in New York, and then I and then my
Syeeta seed.
mother got a job. I was. It actually is true.
We're beginning at the very beginning.
There we go. Yeah. Syeeta. Anyway.
And then my mom got a job at the post office. She was a mail lady, and she moved to Boston, and she moved us to Boston, and that's how I got there. So from elementary school on, all my bad years and formative years of being, wild child was in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts.
Yeah, and then I had children, and that changed everything. And I came to Florida on a field trip in school, and it was February. It was freezing in Boston. It was absolutely ridiculous. They had to de-ice the wings of the plane before we got to Florida. Got to Florida, it was like 85 degrees. We were in Disney. They had palm trees. It was so pretty. I'm like, everybody doesn't live in Florida? What is going on
What's
here?
wrong with these people?
I know. So I'm that person that kind of came here and stayed. And so as soon as I got on my feet, we shipped it up and moved to Florida.
Right.
So that's kind of
But when you're a little girl, like, did you have career goals? Did you know what you wanted to do?
All I could think of is my aunt would come home with her high heel shoes on and her fancy dress and her hair all curly. And I said, I'm going to go work in a big, nice building with nice clothes on. And that's going to be my job. I don't give a hell what I do, but that's what I'm going to be
Do
doing.
you know
That's
what
I
your
look
aunt
like.
did? What did she do?
Insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, she was in that's what I remember.
Yeah. And then you did, in high school, you did ROTC?
I did ROTC. Yeah, and that's how I got to Florida. That was my field trip in ROTC.
Oh, that was the field trip. Okay.
Thank you, ROTC. Yep.
So how did you find yourself in art? Because it sounds like you didn't really have that in your head. Because that's a kind of, obviously it's a I don't know how to describe it, but it's a militaristic, program, obviously.
It is. Something must have caught my eye. They had to wear a uniform. And, in high school, nobody's wearing uniforms. You're kind of corny. You're weird if you wear that. But something drew me to the nice uniform. I was like, oh, and there was some kind of structure to it.
Did you need that structure as a kid?
I was the youngest. Now, okay, let me fix this. I have one sister, one blood sister. My mother had 2 girls, so just me and her. She's older than me. But we grew up with 3 cousins, and they're like sisters. We grew up like sisters. We in the same house for a lot of the time. So I was the youngest. So I watched them get in trouble, and so I learned what to do and what not to do, and I learned how to kind of finesse,
Right.
So,
Right.
so I was kind of a low key,
Learn from the best.
and so when I would get in trouble, it was like little things.
Sure.
But, it was quite a few things. No one would ever know. I have to take it to my grave.
Yeah,
I
well,
guess,
that's
whatever,
We're not going to make you confess all that.
No, we're not doing that.
So how long were you in ROTC then? Like all of high school, or when did that? I don't know when that started. I don't know anything about it.
So track, cheerleading, and then
ROTC.
An ROTC, yeah, I think 11th and 12th grade.
Okay.
actually, yeah.
At any point, you're like, maybe I'll do the military. You were always just like, nope, I want to do this in high school, and then.
I wanted to go to the Air Force, and I was an adult, and I did have children at the time, and they were like,
Yeah.
you got to do, sign your rights over or something like that.
Right.
I'm not doing that. And
Didn't want to do that.
That changed everything. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you did go to college, had your first child pretty young, and that kind of obviously, as it should, changed the trajectory a bit or presses pause a little bit. So what did you do then?
moved to Florida right around that time. That was I had one child, both my older children were born in Massachusetts, and then when my son was 8 months old, we moved to Florida. So that was the beginning of my lifestyle. And at the time, because I'm married, divorced, remarried now, but at the time, my husband then, he didn't care. He was like, we were going to go. We'll go with you. So we went to Florida, and we said, well, I guess we got to do something with our lives. We were young. We were 20s. Before I became an adult, I was a parent. So we had to figure this out, right? And so we started working, and there was this guy who hired my husband at the time to work with people with disabilities. And he was brand new. The owner of the company was brand new doing this. My husband got a paper check, handwritten check to his first paycheck kind of thing. And I like to say that I'm recklessly ambitious. I was like, what is he doing that we can't do? We can run a business like this. He's brand new. We went through all the steps and everything to start a supported living service for people with disabilities, fairly young. And it was fun. We actually got it. We got approved. We're these business owners and taking care of people with disabilities, which I loved. That was probably... let me say that. When I became a deputy, I never looked back. This is probably the most rewarding job I've ever had.
Right, but doing that
different,
was
very different. And I think my heart, it was just so many things as a young person, not knowing the needs of people with disabilities and the things that I learned for them, that grew me up even more. So as a parent too.
Was it like a residential kind of program, or how did you interact with the clients?
Go to their homes.
Okay,
so we would supported living. So if these people would have certain needs, so some needed maybe more care, some needed less care, but just to integrate into society and be able to have jobs and be able to go to doctor's appointments and stuff like that, we would help them with that. So he and I started that supported living service, and we did it for 7 or 8 years. And then I know it was wonderful, right? We were young, we didn't know anything. We were like, okay, we're just maintaining, having a good old time.
Yeah.
But you're young, and I didn't know better at the time. So there was some legislative change, and at the time, again, I didn't know anything about politics, didn't care. I didn't know how it would affect me directly in my own pocket, right? Until it did.
Right.
There was a specific
That's usually
program.
how it goes.
Specific program that was funding the money that we got to do the business, and that change cut it in half. So the services that we were providing is no longer this amount is going to be half of it, and so you have to take care of the same amount of people with half the money. So then it was like a 2-to-1 ratio where we'd have to have 2 clients to make the same money as one client to do it, and then they cut it another 30% like 6 months later or some nonsense like that. I don't remember the timeline, but whatever it was a rapid between 1 to 2.5 years. It went from boom to boom, and we were like, oh God, we got to get a job. We don't have any money. It was like hemorrhaging money. I was like, oh God, we got to do something. So my cousin, the ones I grew up with, worked in the jail.
They came down here?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. So
Your
from
cousins
Boston,
came down too?
I was not the first one to Boston. I had two cousins that moved down here. My aunt who worked in insurance, the fancy one, she moved here first.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
All right.
so her and her children were here, and so she worked at the jail. And she said, "Well, the sheriff's office is hiring." And I said, "Oh, I knew I needed part-time. I didn't need full-time at the time because I was still, juggling a lot of things, and I still had kids." So I started working at the courthouse in JOB as a CJS. So it was like building security. So I would be at the MAG when you first walk in, and you would, go through people's stuff.
And that's criminal justice specialist for our
knew that.
listeners. No, I got you. That's what we're here for.
Thank you. So I started there, and I would be at the MAG. And then, by the grace of God, I know it kind of just worked the way it did. There was this whole push for people retiring, and they were going to start doing an academy for the sheriff's office. And they were like, "Oh, the sheriff's office is going to sponsor the academy. They're going to pay you to go to the academy." And I'm thinking, you're going to pay me to go,
Yeah.
And so at the time I was at the courthouse, I made so many friends, and people were so nice, and it was just so different to see, police officers in this light. It was, I was like, oh my God, they're so cool. I really, me, naive, had no idea. Not that I cared one way or the other about police, but just to see them in the background and see how they operate. So many, and a lot of nice women too. So it was kind of like, oh, there's women too. Right? It's kind of cool. I'd be a super mom cop, right? And literally,
Sounds good.
that's kind of how that was my transition to saying, okay, they're gonna try this. I can try to be a cop. Let's see. And it was almost like that show, Let's Be Cops, right? And it was like, yeah. And I'm a jerk. I'm like, I'm fit. I can run. I can do, I can do this
I
stuff.
can do it, yeah.
And I'm super, super, super competitive because they were like, oh, you go to the academy, you can't get, a bad grade because they'll kick you out. I'm like, I don't get bad grades. I was bad at school, but I was smart. I was like, I'm gonna be failing anything. I don't fail. So that was, so I did. I wanted to go through the academy, and I put my memo in, and I'm learning the process of, law enforcement because I was a civilian. You don't.
So, and this is the Law Enforcement Academy.
Law Enforcement
So
Academy.
did you ever consider the jail at all, or?
You know what? I don't think I considered the jail because that is not what was offered at the time.
Okay.
If I had to be fair, I don't remember even having an option. I remember it being the Law Enforcement Academy.
Right.
So
Which could have been. So
Yeah.
Not always same time, yeah.
yeah, it's kind of weird. That's kind of how it transitioned. So I don't remember saying, no, I don't want to go to the jail, but I don't remember being an option. And I don't think I would have wanted to go to the jail. There's just something about it. I like sunshine and daylight. That's my personality.
You don't wanna be
I'm
locked in.
I was like, you put me in a door. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, I need to get out. Right? So whatever. So that was just the option at the time, and so that's the route I took. You go through the academy, you got to do all these tests and everything like that. And so here I am. I'm like, I am not failing. I remember kids used to tell me, Mom is studying. She doesn't want to get a bad grade. And I was like, anything less than
setting an example
100.
for them,
Yeah,
huh?
anything less than 100, I was mad, right? So so mad. So
I get that.
in the academy, though, closer towards the end, everybody who was getting good grades is kind of starting to look at like, what did you get? And what did you get? So there were 3, they get the 3 at the top for whoever, did the best. In my opinion, right, there was all the high liability tests are the ones that they use for the top 3. So all together, I did the very best. But on the high liability, I was second. So I was like,
Oh,
damn it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did
And these are all the written
the
tests?
written test.
Okay,
Yeah.
written. Okay.
all the, whatever.
Nothing physical at this point, just written.
Do you remember who was number 1, and do you still have a vendetta against them
No,
in the
no,
agency?
no. To be fair, I think our class, and we were 183, I think. I love every single person in I think we had a good class. Like, I know there's some infighting in other classes, but I think I can call any one of my classmates right now. We would have a fun, loving conversation. Some are here, some are gone, but I still absolutely love him. And it was, he's actually a reserve deputy now. 5-coat, me, 5-coat, and Segretti. So we're the top 3. So
Nice. Yeah. So, and the physical stuff, though, the high liability stuff, kind of that's all new, relatively new to you. I'm sure you got a little bit of something for CJS being at the courthouse, but how was that?
That was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? What was funny is my cousin who worked here told me, she said, if you're going to go to the academy, once it started rolling, and she's like, listen, I don't know if you remember P90X and Insanity, those videos, right?
Yep.
She said, do Insanity. And she said, you start today. And literally I was doing, okay, Sean T, right? Whatever. And I was so pumped. I mean, I started terrible. And by the end of the time I did Insanity was the time that Academy was starting. And I was like ready. I was like, who am I? I'm like, I'm strong, right? And then when we get to the Academy, you don't start DT right away. It's like, maybe 1 or 2 weeks. And so I was like, when are we going to start doing the fun stuff? Like, when are we going to start doing And then when I did, I killed it. There was never a time when I was like, if you tell me to front lean rest, I was on it. Let's do it.
Also, like you said, you went to college. You after a bit, you came down here. You did that business for 8-9 years, and then you went into the academy. So like, what's your age at this point? Are you in your 30s?
This is over. This is.
I'm just curious because I when you look at the academy right now, it's these people straight from college, and I'm just saying you're whooping their ass. And
I know this is much nicer now. Like,
that's what I mean.
Yeah. So no, I was 30. I was 30,
Okay.
31, 30 turning 31 in the academy, and I was.
Was most of the class like straight out of college?
Babies.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang it. I think Grunman, and I love him. He's my baby. I love him to death. His son, I'm trying to steal him. I'm working on that, but whatever. I think he might have been the youngest, or was it Andrew Lynch? He's at Largo now. But there were 2 20-year-olds in our class, I think brand new of kids. So.
Interesting point, though, Ashley, to bring that up, because we do, one thing we talk about a lot is how, like, we get the question all the time, like on social media, like, well, in Florida, you can be 19 and be a law enforcement deputy, why do you guys 20, why 21, all that stuff. And it's like, sheriff's pretty straight about it. It's like, you have 2 more years of life experience. Did you observe that? I mean, when you're in there with these young kids, basically, you've run a business, you've done these other things. Like, there had to be some times you're sitting in class and you're like, no, honey, no. No.
I did see that a lot. And you know what? You don't pay attention to it is if you live at home and you've known what you've known for your entire life, if you go to someone's house and they're arguing or fighting about something and you've never seen that, you're kind of like, well, there's a problem here. There's a problem. I'm like, no, they can fight. They can, or argue. I don't say fight. That's wrong. But physically fight, they can't. But
right.
So there were things that people, very specific. Let me get a good one. What I did learn, but I didn't like it, but I learned it. People live differently. Sure. And when I went out for the first time, like, I've seen nasty houses. It is what it is. And I remember in the academy or at some teaching point where they said, it's okay to have a nasty house. You don't take people out of their house because their house is dirty. That's not a thing. So they would go into these houses and say, oh God, these kids can't live like this. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. I'm like, it's a dirty house. You don't take kids for that. And I didn't even know you couldn't take kids for like being homeless. Like, you can be homeless in America. You don't remove them unless there's like they're not eating or stuff like that. So coming from maybe a really, really nice home and not seeing just nastiness or something like that, you could be walking into somebody's house and trying to do a removal when that's not where we're at. You need to give them more resources or something like that. So I don't know. There were things like that I would see. A lot of wanting to do a lot. I don't know how to describe it.
Mm-hmm. Like a little overzealous.
Yes. Yeah, and where it didn't need it because it was normal, but if it's not your normal, you don't know.
Right.
So if you can grow up in a house where there's a lot of, this is one of the examples I gave someone. When I get mad, not I get mad, but if I get mad and from somebody's house, then they're like dropping plates on the floor and breaking plates everywhere, and they get home. That's what they do when they get mad. So if you walk into that house and you see that person breaking plates and praying, you can't do that, you can't do that. I'm like, there's their plates. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. It's okay, but that's not okay. That's not. I'm like, it is. Give them a little bit of time, kind of thing. But I think it's shocking if you don't see someone who just yells all the time, and so you go in the house and you're like, you're yelling. It's okay. Give them a little bit of. And I think that's kind of how I looked at it. Some people just need, space and time. Like, no one calls 911 to say hi. They've called 911 when they have got nothing else to do but to get help. So if you go in there and try to you got to stop yelling or you got to stop, give a little bit of grace and a little time to kind of figure themselves out and then try to help them. But I think jumping right on somebody while they're still in their moment that they need to be, then I think that doesn't help. Maybe try to de-escalate a little better.
That's good. I mean, because, I think when you say that to somebody, it's like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. But like the true application of it, like, yeah, there's something that comes with life experience. So.
Seeing a little bit more.
So you get through the academy, and then you're starting FTO. But I think we have to take a turn on this and pause briefly.
There's a little interruption.
I think there
before
was an interruption with you starting FTO. Ironically, because you say you're the oldest young person because of a certain video program you religiously watched. And
Yes. Oh. Okay. It started with my father's mother, my paternal grandmother, right? She was so cute, and something about curly hair, right? That's why I love Laura. But anyway, she used to sit at 7:00 and do her little curlers and watch Wheel of Fortune. That was her thing, and that was me just sitting up under my grandmother watching her curl her hair and watch Wheel of Fortune. So I'm watching with her, and that just became my thing. I was a avid Wheel of Fortune fan, and I was good at it. I was answering questions, solving puzzles before they would finish. So lifelong goal, I'm getting on Wheel of Fortune. That's going to happen, right? How do you do that? I don't even know. But in my mind, I was going to be on Wheel of Fortune. So in Florida, somehow or another, I was watching one day, and they said, the Wheelmobile, remember that? I don't even know if you watch it, But anyway, there's a Wheelmobile.
I watched with my daddy too.
Okay. Yeah. It goes from city to city, and they said they're going to be in Clearwater. And this is still me trying to just, before the academy, I think. I don't even know.
Oh, when the process started.
Yeah, it was way before the process started. So I had went to the Wheelmobile, and so I went there, and there was a cattle call. It was so many people, and you had to go get in this line and hope that they call you in this auditorium. You put your name on a piece of paper, wait in the auditorium for them to call your name. So funny, this is a cute story actually. The third time we did it, so they didn't call me the first time, they didn't call me the second time, and it was only going to do it 3 times, so I'm bummed, but I'm going to wait, of course, right? So it was a little card, and the lady behind me, I kid you not, said, fold the ends of your paper, that way it doesn't get stuck to someone else's. And I folded my thing, and they called my name. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, literally, that was how I got called. Last thing was, come back to this hotel, do this puzzle. If we select you, you'll be selected from these puzzles that you did, and then we'll call you. And I said, okay, well, fine. So I went and did the puzzles, and went to wait for the call. And the call came on the first day I was supposed to start FTO. Bringing back the story, right? And I remember saying, oh my God, I don't even know what to do. Like, I was like, they're not going to let me do this. But I was like, I'm going on Wheel of Fortune. I'm going to be AWOL again, like back.
So did you go knock on the sheriff's door? May I be excused?
That's how I felt. I was like, I'm so torn. I don't know what to do. So I remember it was Sergeant Doherty at the time, and Lieutenant Garrett at the time were the FTO coordinators.
I remember that duo well.
Yeah, they came to our class all the time, and I remember going. I think it was Doherty was the first person I saw, and I said, I know this is going to sound absolutely ridiculous. I was like, but I just got this email, right? He was like, but they want me to come this weekend, and I know you already set the schedule. Can you please let me go? I don't know what to do, but I want to go. And he laughed, and he goes, what? He was like, are you serious? I was like, yes, and I really want to go, please. Yeah. So they switched around a couple of things, and he was like, well, you... not necessarily giving you time off, but because I think there were 12s at the time. So you don't start this weekend, you start next weekend as your whatever. So he switched my shift so that I can go to California that Friday and come back that Sunday and be ready to do, FTO. So that's basically what I did. Okay, so I go to California, and of course I'm nervous as all hell. The first one comes up, and you know how they start doing you don't have to spin the wheel, they just start putting letters on the thing. Yeah. And there was like a place. And 2 letters popped up, and I was like, bam, I got it. Lansing, Michigan. And they were like, what? You got it? And it was it, right? I'm like, oh, shit. I'm about to yes, please. So I was like, all right, I'm going to be, I was like, yeah, I'm going to win. So then the next puzzle, I don't remember. It might have been the very next puzzle, whatever it was, but it was huge. And I was like, oh, my gosh, this is going to be a big one. So I feel my head spinning, and I'm all excited. And I controlled the wheel the entire time. I don't think it was out of my hand. I'm just spinning and calling letters, spinning and calling numbers, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm on Wheel of Fortune, and I'm like to win this because I know it, right? probably around like, I'm sorry, like $19,000, right? It was where I had spun this wheel up to. And I'm looking at this board and I'm like, I know this puzzle. I got this. This puzzle is done. It's like 5 letters not up on the board. And I'm thinking, okay, let me solve. Because if I spin again, this is it. I'm not going to make it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to solve. And I don't remember the actual puzzle or what it was, but it was Hogwarts School for Witches and Wizardry or something.
Of witchcraft and wizardry. Right?
Yeah, something like maybe witchcraft and wizardry. So I must have said, I know what I said because he was, as soon as I said it, I was like, Hogwarts School for Witchcraft and Wizards. And he was like, And in my mind, I'm like, yes. And then I hear him saying no. And I'm like, what's going on? And all I could think of is, oh no, I didn't say it right. And he's showing the guy next to me got it. And I was like, I'm going to punch him, right? But it was, so he killed it. He solved the puzzle. I mean, and it was it. And that was after that, I was like, I don't want to play no more.
So we're back in sunny Pinellas County. You start FTO late after all that to lose on Wheel Fortune.
So I was all bummed out.
How was that? How was FTO for you? Did you do well?
I think I did good.
Yeah,
I did.
You made it.
Yeah,
I mean,
right? Barely. No, just kidding. 2 funny stories that I thought of that I was like, we can't. I don't know if I could say or not say.
Say
kind of
'em.
thing.
Say 'em. We can always cut them out.
Yes.
Right.
yeah, we're not going to.
No.
So now, mind you, let's go back to this is terrible. I'm new. I have 0 law enforcement experience. Dead bodies, right?
Right.
I've heard of them.
Right? You gotta experience that. They want to get you a dead body. You got to start seeing these bodies. It's just going to be a thing you're going to do. You're going to see them, right? I remember going into this condo, and it's set up where you walk in the front door, and it's like just a straight corridor. You go straight. It's living room, and then kitchen area. But off to the left, there would be bathroom and bedroom. That's all it was. So I remember walking into this this front room, and I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, so
This is obviously a deceased person.
yes, this
Okay.
is a deceased person.
Oh, a real one.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
Ooh, got me right. So
Can't buy a vowel on this one.
no, I'm in it, but I was ready. I was
Right.
like, I learned. I got to count pills. I got to do this stuff, right? So I'm ready. So I go in, and I'm looking around. I'm like, okay. So I saw the kitchen area, and there was this poor man just kind of sitting at the table, kind of with his hand on his head, like elbow on the table, hand on head, and just kind of sitting there. And I'm like, oh God, this poor man's wife is dead in the room. This is terrible. So I look at him, and I cut off towards like the side the bathroom would and the bedroom would be, and they were like, where are you going?
It's him? No.
Oh, damn.
He was sitting there, just like I was like, he's not dead. I was just waiting for somebody to say pranked, we got you, ha
Yeah,
ha
we
ha.
got you.
No, he was legit dead, and I would walk right past him. So somebody turned me around. I was like, oh, I was looking for medicine or something.
Good save.
Oh, yeah.
I
I saw
had
he was
never-
obviously
That's
contemplating
how
his
most
decision.
people
Yes,
die.
I've never
in
seen
that type of
and he didn't
pose.
look dispositioned or anything. He mispositioned. He just looked like he was sitting at the table and
had a
sad.
bad dream.
Yeah, he just looked like he was just sad. And I was like, oh God, he's just sitting there. And then so when they finally, this is what you got to do, and they moved him. And then you could see like the blood pooling and all that stuff. And he had been, it was not very long. I think he was getting dressed to go somewhere. And I think he just sat down and just died. I don't know what the problem was. So whoever called and said, hey, he didn't show up. So it was just hours later, and I guess what they call a fresh body. So I had a lot of fresh bodies. I didn't have a lot of like decomps and stuff like that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, one or two bad decomps, and someone saved me. First of all, they give us these nice gas masks not to have to deal with that smell. But apparently it's like, oh, you put on your gas mask, you're a punk, right? I was like, give me my gas mask. I'm not playing these games.
Hell yeah.
But then there was one, I might have been out of FTO. I might have just kind of got somebody to help me out on one of them, because I was like, I'm not going in there. I was like, I'm not going in
Yeah.
there. It was like climbing over all kind of nastiness
Oh.
in like a mobile home park,
Right.
mobile home. It was so nasty. And they were all the way in the back. And there were vultures on the top of the thing
that's a
trying to
clue.
get in. It
That's
was,
a clue.
Wow.
yeah, no.
Wow.
I didn't do that one. We don't got to talk about that one. That
Ooh.
was, yeah, but my fresh bodies were good. And then you want to talk about other fresh bodies?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, there's another one. Let's go.
This one I'm probably fired.
Nah.
Okay. We were going, there was another call that this older lady didn't go to work. She was supposed to go to work, and she goes to work all the time, and they all love her. She's a really nice lady, but they know she has some kind of medical condition. So if she didn't show up, they were concerned.
That ain't good.
So they called and they asked us to go do a welfare check. So me and the other, I think it was a sergeant at the time, or maybe my FTO. I'm not going to drop names because if they know who it was, I hope they don't even remember this. But anyway, we go to this house and we're knocking on the sides. We're tapping on windows trying to see if anybody's in here. The house is fairly secure. We couldn't see anything. So I think one way or another, finally somebody came with a key to get into the garage to get into the house. So we get into the house. And it's just a nice, clean house and whatever. So this lady lives on her own. So we go walk around, find her in the bedroom. And she's just laying in the bed, just peacefully and dead. I'm thinking, oh, they're going to be so sad this old lady just died. I was like, oh, my God, this is terrible. So you know me, I'm looking for pills, right? So I start opening drawers and looking for, like, next of kin stuff and whatever paperwork is there. And I remember kind of going off to the other side of the bed. And I hear, we have radios in our ear, but we're in the same room. And I hear, can I get FD to my location? I'm like, why the hell are you getting FD? She's dead.
She wasn't dead?
Oh, no.
She's too fresh.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Never let Syeeta catch you napping.
Ooh,
Like,
she's
oh,
dead. Don't worry about it.
just call FD.
Any call now, I'm like, FD, just come in. I don't even know.
Just in case.
I never.
He might be napping. I don't know.
But now maybe just like check some pulses.
Now I
before
will
you
touch
start going for the
every
pills.
single person. I'll smack the shit out of them. Like, are you dead or alive? Because I'm not doing this anymore. Like, it was so bad. She was in a diabetic coma. I'm not laughing at that. I never saw that before. Talk about naive, right? I didn't know that was a thing. But FD came in. They gave her like a cookie, and she was like, "I'm good. You can go."
You were ready to call it.
You
Put up the body bag.
took all of her pills, tried to call her family, and she just needed a cookie.
Okay.
Damn. That right there is probably why they have all those people that you wear the band that says like, this is my medical condition, or I just
As
need a
long
cookie.
as you look for it and not just go straight for the drawers.
Yeah.
Oh no! So I felt so bad. She if she had died, she would have been beautiful. She was peaceful, and I was like, oh, poor nice lady just died.
I was pretty sold on recklessly ambitious for a title for this, but now I think she just needs a cookie. She just needs the cookie. There we are. All right. That was excellent.
Okay, well,
Excellent.
I don't know. We'll see if I don't get fired on that one. It was very early. Now everybody knows I don't play around with dead bodies. I'm on it. I'm like,
Yeah, let's see. Let's do some chest compressions. His whole bottom half is gone. It doesn't matter.
don't matter.
He could
Don't
still
matter.
be there.
Try a cookie.
Yes. His
usually
head's over
works.
there. Yeah. So you get through your freshest body.
Yes.
But you get FTO and all that stuff. Like, did you kind of gravitate to certain types of calls or cases you like to be involved in?
I liked drugs and searching cars. So I
Okay.
had a really good time, having fun with that kind of stuff.
Okay.
We were another deputy and I were doing traffic. We were literally out here to do traffic, and we were 56ing.
50.
Hey,
Get a cookie.
She
for
said
that.
the
Gotta get a cookie, right? But we were waiting for traffic violations, I guess. So I'm sitting there and we're talking, and either my peripheral. You don't have peripheral hearing, right? But anyway, I hear a lot.
I mean, it's all pretty much peripheral because your ears are over there.
So it was both. I heard, and then out of peripheral, I saw. Right, there we go. Let's go with that. All right.
There it is.
All right, we'll clean it up. But anyway, loud music, very, very loud music coming, from the intersection. And so we look up, and it's this nice, I think Camaro, like orange, pretty, very clean, nice looking car. And I'm like, oh, that's cute, right? But loud music, no problem. That's not an offense. You can have loud music, right? But when he rolled by, now of course I'm paying attention because I'm thinking, ooh, nice car. he had that tint, that dark tint on his tag, and I was like, "Ooh, got one!" Right? So, so I was like, oh, "Okay, good. Now I get to see the car up closer." So I pull him over, and my other partner who was with me, absolutely love him, Jacobs, Christopher Jacobs at the time. He was an animal. He's on it. Anyway, we were good together. We pulled him over. Chris and I worked together in that area a lot, so we had like nonverbal cues with each other back and forth. And so if he saw something or I saw something, we would kind of give each other a look, and it was like, we know what this is, right? So of course we pull him over, and he's got this weed smell just coming out of the car, and I was like, okay, come on. So very nice young man. I was like, I'm going to search your car because there's obvious weed smell in here. And he's like, well, I got this joint. And I was like, thank you. Going in, right? So we get him out of the car, and it took me 3 seconds because the first thing I checked was like under his seat, gun, right? So I look up, I'm like, Chris, get him. So we cuffed him, put him on his side, went through the car, got it. It was not a lot of drugs, but the gun was a problem because he was a felon. Mm-hmm. And that was probably one of my early best cases because that traffic stop allowed me to later testify in federal court, which is kind of a big deal. I didn't even know that was a thing, but because there was a whole lot going on with that young man, even though super nice. But and I remember the lawyer was like, well, you can't stop anybody for loud music. And I said, I didn't, but he got my attention because of his loud music. I was like, that wasn't the case.
So why was it in federal court? To contest the stop, the actual, or did he have a lot of other stuff going on?
He had a lot of other stuff going on, and it was some other weird thing with like the city of Clearwater because they asked me, did I know him or did I know anything about any priors that he had? And I said, no, this is a traffic stop, because apparently he was trying to say that people were targeting him or something like that, something weird, and I was like, I have no part of that because I don't know that. But in the courtroom, when I walked in, he saw me and he's like, hi, deputy. Like, I was like, it's probably not good for you, but he was so, and so I think they thought that somehow I knew him because of that, but no, that wasn't it. But
so another teachable moment, if you're a felon in possession of a firearm or you have any other bad things you don't want attention for, don't draw attention to yourself. Drive a camo car. Keep your windows rolled up. Don't blow
put
your
a tent
speakers
on
out.
your tag.
That is the one that drives me nuts, is like, we know this is illegal, yet people do it.
Do it anyway.
And it's like, do you want, like, I mean, I personally don't care. I don't think any of our deputies personally care, but it's the law and it's law enforcement. So you're giving everybody a free pass to pull you over.
Absolutely.
And that's also like, that's not just Florida. That's
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. So it's like, why do they even exist?
And then the new thing is wrapping tags. Have you seen any of those?
Oh,
I've
Which
seen
is
that.
like, they'll just literally take a tag and do a wrap on it of whatever you want.
Yeah, so it matches the car.
So it's the actual tag, but it's just wrapped and they cut out the letters. And it looks cool, but it's illegal.
These ding-dings.
It's
Why
like-
would they do that?
Okay. Anyway.
Especially if you're driving dirty too, like, you know.
Right.
That's-
I'm just an old man. I'm going to get off my, yelling at kids to get off the lawn, but it's like, why? So that was when you were still in patrol, obviously. You went to CPO at some point, which is when I think I first encountered you as a CPO. So how'd you get into CPO? How was that?
Again, you remember back when I didn't want to be in the jail because I just need sunlight
Right.
every day. I'm very much a people person, and I thought that would be like really, really good for me. I was like, you put me with these kids too, because that's my thing. I love the kids. But I just thought it was like a fun opportunity to get out and, community police. So I went for community police, and then the spot that I got was St. Pete Beach, and loved it. I learned a lot about the city, the things that they want or don't want, and I learned like.
So which beach were you
St.
assigned?
Pete
St. Pete
Beach.
Beach. Okay.
Absolutely love St. Pete Beach.
Which is one of our contract cities.
Yep.
For example, something like we had decoy cars in the city because they would complain about speeding. So we would put a decoy car, but kind of right when you come over.
It's like a marked cruiser, though.
Yes, I'm
so
sorry.
nobody
Marked
in it.
cruiser,
Make
nobody
people
in
think
it.
there's
Is there like an
But-
inflatable deputy in it?
It should have, right?
not a bad idea.
A canine in there because people like the canine.
See if they're paying attention.
They, I know, right? That's all we need, right? Anyway, right off Corey, is it Corey that you come in on? Yeah, so coming
Corey
off Corey,
Causeway.
tourists are all coming in, so they see the car, they slow down. It's
Right.
helpful. But then I remember getting a complaint, and it was like, we don't want people to think we have a lot of crime here. We don't want that car sitting right in front of the. It's like,
That's classic.
So you had half the town like, this is great. They're slowing the people down, and half the town, the city, saying, don't put that there because we don't want it to look bad. I was like,
Well, it's just like when people have neighborhoods complain about speeders, and we go out there and do
And
a
it's
detail
them.
and pull most of them over.
we get that a lot.
Yeah.
But CPO, I all the events, all the fun stuff, it signed me up. I was ready for it. I absolutely love CPO. I don't think I had one bad memory of CPO. Just good people, good times. I absolutely loved it. But somehow in CPO, I kind of started liking, it must have been before CPO, but I started liking child victims, like not liking child victims, but wanting to do those cases. Like I felt bad. I loved these kids, and I'm thinking this trauma, these things that they're experiencing, I'm going to give these kids a hug. They need a hug, right? So I'm doing these cases, and I'm like, okay, I flocked to them, and I ran into Kalinda. He was a big CAC, or Crimes Against Children, corporal at the time, I think. And I remember going to one, and I was learning what a call-out was. And you get a call-out when a CAC detective, Crimes Against Children detective, would come out and say, okay, this case is enough for us to deal with today. We're going to handle it right now. So I remember him doing a call-out for us, and he was like, oh, you did good. This is good for you. I think you would be good in CAC. And that was years ago on a call. So while I was in CPO, I was there for maybe like 3 years. Absolutely loved it. But then a CAC detective opportunity opened, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to try that. I think that's where I want to be. That is going to be my claim to fame. I'm going to be the best CAC detective. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to save all these babies, or save the day, right? Because I love them. And I got to CAC. And actually, right at the same time, Kalinda was going in there to be the sergeant. So I learned under that same guy who I just randomly saw, years ago on a call. And I would say under his tutelage, like right?
That was a Hogwarty thing to say.
See, we're going to round this all together. It's going to be messy, but it's going to come together.
That's what we do.
He walked me through a lot of like really, really good big cases. Like I didn't know what I was doing, but he, this is how you do this. This is, this is what you're looking for. Make sure you touch this. This, make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. Anyway, great. I loved it. Thought I was doing pretty good. At the time, we had 2 internet crime detectives who would only do porn online, like children pornography. Like so, they would be in another room watching the images and doing like the pictures and filtering through that. Both of those people went on maternity leave at the same time, and so they started giving us those cases. Right. So in my mind, I think human beings filter out the really ugly parts. You tell me your story, I hear it, I know it's terrible, but I don't eat that image.
Right.
But when you see it in a video or you don't unsee those things.
It's
and
there,
it broke my heart. I was like, I'm not sleeping. Like I just see this little girl's face, and it's breaking my heart. So that kind of messed me up. But I realized quickly after that I was like, CAC is not going to be my thing. Because I couldn't say no. You don't want to let your team down and tell them I'm not doing those. You don't do that. That's not fair to other people who don't want to see it either. So if you're not going to do your fair share in sharing the ugly part that everybody has to do, that wasn't going to be my thing. So it was about a year, and I was like in full on tears, like, this is not
It's not for me.
I'm sorry, but this is not a thing, So, and they were
Which is
like,
hard to do, because when you get a position like that, you commit for a certain length of time, because it takes a lot of investment to train you, and they expect you to be there 2 or 3 years, and so it's hard to tell them that, I bet.
Yeah, it was a lot of training. It was a hard thing to want to do or have to do, but it just wasn't even something that my soul could take. Again, me and my sunshine and bright lights, I was like, I need the sun again. Like, this is getting heavy. But I did want to have another good claim to fame from CAC, because one of the cases that I had, I guess I can say it now because it's officially closed. I just got, the state attorney just called me and said she pled to 45 years. They were seeking the death penalty for her for killing her child.
Wow.
And so they went back and forth since it's 2019. This has been dragging out. And then she finally said, owned up to it and said, yes, I did it. And so that was a big one.
Yeah, it's rewarding stuff. You just have to, and I think that's that's the thing that we've had this conversation before with others, like you want to do that thing, right? But there's also everything in between. Like for every great gratifying moment, there's I don't want to see that again, and you got to live with it. But it's good that you're able to, when when you do work at a larger agency, you do have those opportunities to try things, and then not so much. I mean, we talked with the last episode with Corporal Feinberg about people trying out for canines. Like, yep, it's not for me in the tryout process. But that's not, in some of the specialty units and investigative operations, like
there's not a
tryout.
Yeah.
And you just have to. It's like, how much of this do I have to really see, and what's happening? And it would definitely be like the internet crimes against children stuff. That's
because it's insane.
Yeah.
It is. It's tough. And I knew those things would come up here and there, but I think when it became over and over, like daily, that was something that it was like, I didn't get enough time to adjust from the other one, or I didn't get enough time to reset from that. And like children crimes are terrible because your dots connect in regular crime. If I punch you in the face, you know why. We had a fight. This is a fight.
Right.
Yeah. But when you see someone get hurting a child, defenseless or something like that, it takes longer for you to say, okay, I'm back, to a normal person to understand that. You never understand it, so you just are stuck somewhere where you just can't get that back to a line.
To deal with it.
So, that was not good. But they were so nice. They said, listen, this is not a punishment. We understand this is tough for anybody. We have the staff inspection spot open if you want to just take that to kind of decompress, right? And I was like, I don't even know what staff inspection is. I'll take it, right? And literally, it was like a very quick, smooth transition. They put me in there, and absolutely helped. Because it gave me time to just not even think about that anymore. It was like you had to learn something new. You had to start, figuring out what you actually have to do and kind of things. And so staff inspections turned out to be fun for me. I get to see every part of this agency. That's how I got to be on your first podcast, with Chalmers, because y'all were doing
So just to give a little bit of context for everybody, so that's under the Professional Standards Bureau, which includes internal affairs and all that stuff. But there's also strategic planning and then staff inspections as part of that. And that's really essentially truly staff inspectors. It's part of our accreditation process, and y'all go through various areas of the agency, learn as much as you can about them, get feedback from staff, and just to kind of give the sheriff a report of what's happening.
Nailed it.
So talk about it's not a hard thing to transition into because you're used to even as a deputy, you're used to gathering information and processing and putting together some kind of report. But was there anything different about it? Like it sounds like it would be a really cool job because you get to, number one, you get to meet a lot of people. We're PR people, so we like people, but you get to learn all kinds of stuff too.
Yep. I had no idea what y'all did, number one. The deepness of it. Yeah, I know you guys are walking around doing a lot of stuff, but I was like, oh, that's where that goes. That's what that is. And that's kind of how it is. I would have never been exposed to DDC, even, spinning back to, it was never even an option. I didn't have any reason to go to the jail so much. But I'm in DDC. I'm learning what their healthcare division does. They have the whole support section that they do. They have the inmate records, inmate property, all the stuff that's moving and shaking behind the scenes for the deputies in the jail. Property and evidence is another one that we almost lived there, which is funny because Kalinda's there now. He's
following him around.
I know, he's a creeper, but we go to property and evidence a lot, and we do a lot of the counts, and we do a lot of the audits. We do SWAT audits. I didn't even know. It's my fun fact that I learned from SWAT. We check their explosives. So, as an audit, we say, you guys got, I'm going to make these numbers up, just whatever. So you got 10 pounds of C4, right? And on the first, but you blew up a couple things and some trainings, but now, you said you used 4 and you should have 6 left. So we have to make sure those numbers match, which is kind of funny because they were showing us the C4. They were like, we hear C4 in the movie and stuff like that, but, you can have a C8, you can have a C12. It's just the way you build
and they all blow up.
Yeah, they all blow up. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. They showed us some stuff sometimes or whatever. But
you an audit of like monster cans?
As a matter of fact. Don't even get me started on this one. I am the energy drink Nazi. And oh God, I can't say that, right? I'm like, you cannot.
Okay, we're still against Nazis.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Okay, good. Yeah. So I'm like, you can't eat. You can't drink energy drinks. They're not good for you. They're gonna blow your heart up. So anybody who is around me drinking energy drinks, I'm like trying to tap them over and I'm trying to smack it out of their hand.
Like, SWAT then.
They all know. D-Bold will tell you.
That's hilarious.
It's terrible, but yes.
Did you get to blow anything up while you were counting?
No, I steer clear. They're amazing. They are, everything is where it's supposed to be. They have, you can detonate these things and you have the explosives here. So they separate them completely. It's unlikely, right? Anything can happen, even me around, right? But anyway, they keep them separated. You count this, you count that, and you find out what's where and kind of thing. So I didn't blow anything up. They offered. They were doing a training, and I was
should have said yes.
Yeah, that would be like your dream job. Be an auditor and then just write fun reports with journalistic flair.
Oh yes, that word.
And it's more than just counting things. You're spending a lot of time with wherever you're inspecting.
Oh yes.
Right?
So we do a lot of observations. So there's a lot of moving parts in staff inspection. So the staff inspection is number one when I go to the unit and I'm talking to everybody and I'm observing what they do and sitting with them and trying to
because you hit every area of the whole agency every 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say we do crossing guards to general counsel and everybody in between.
And then start over again.
and getting all over again. And that is the staff inspection is the title, and that's exactly what we do. We make a report for each of those units every 4 years. But outside of that, I can't say when we're not doing a staff inspection because we're almost always doing a staff inspection. We do these audits in between those things and special reports and other things that we are doing. We count narcotics, safe money. We go in there and make sure that all their deputies are accounting for the expenditures that they have.
So if narcotics, we have to go to a bar and flash some cash and make this deal.
I got to get a lap dance or something, right? Yeah, they have to document.
Wow.
I bought some cocaine in the boom boom room, right? So that works in there. So they have to document that, and we have to show that they have not a receipt because we know we can't get can I get a receipt for that?
May I have one drug? Give me a receipt.
And they go into their little van and all that, and then they have to do that.
Yeah,
interesting.
One cocaine, please, ma'am.
Can I write it off my taxes?
Is that a write-off?
Yeah,
it's not a write-off.
We're actually tax exempt. Here's my form.
Can you sign this for me, please?
I don't know if you're particularly worried about paying your taxes if you're buying drugs at the boom boom room.
Right.
No kidding.
That's how they always catch you, though. That's how they caught Al Capone. Taxes.
That's true.
Yeah, that's the start.
So how, obviously you have places like PR, which were like 15 or 16 strong, but then you're trying to cover, so you're covering the bureau level, or are you doing units, or how does it break down?
Bureau level, and then we break down in that bureau.
Okay.
So, for example, and sorry to all the captains that we hit for the special services, because when I first started, it was, Major Love she's in HR now, right? But when we started, she was in special services.
Support services.
Support services.
Yeah.
I have to fix that. Sorry. She had special events, and I think special ops at the time. She had
No.
I get all the
mean that
specials
you meant
confused.
that
I
she was
always
the
have to go to the
captain.
org chart.
She was the captain.
She was the
Over at
captain of
Special
special ops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she had 6
I was down there
different
during
units.
that time.
Yeah.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So she had 6 units under her, and what we have to do, there's like a timing thing and a report thing. So we ask for, tell us all your accomplishments for the last 4 years, right? And so she has to actually make a memo for that. Times 6 of all the units that she's in charge of.
Right.
So once we do that report, we say, hey, you need to respond to all these reports we just did, times 6.
Right.
And then fast forward
After
to that.
you've gotten feedback from staff and everything.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. And then we do a follow-up. So she has to do it again. So those captains who have multiple people under them, like, sorry right now
Not
for
great,
y'all.
yeah.
We just got Captain Matthews. And in the jail, Kinzel we had to get him. So and we do, piece by piece. So it's kind of like your turn. Just get it over. Take the Band-Aid off, right?
Yeah, a lot happening. So you're looking at is there a certain percentage or ratio of some kind you're trying to meet? Like patrol, for example? I mean, that's huge.
Right. It's almost impossible to get patrol because so many moving parts. By the time you start patrol and get through these interviews, you might have some movement. You might have all kind of things that go on. So we try to minimum 30%, but I'm an overachiever. Reckless.
30%'s a lot, though.
It is.
That's a lot.
We don't want to send the sheriff a report that says we only spoke to 10 people. Like 20% of this group cares about this. I'm like, that's not enough. That doesn't sway the masses, right? It's not enough. So what we want is, a big enough people so that you don't have just that one group of friends who say, we'll do it, and then all their opinion is in there instead of the other group that might have.
It's just a squeaky wheel.
Exactly.
And that 30% is like who you interview, and you ask different things about, like, do you have what you need, and like I can't remember all the questions. I mean, you've asked me
about
twice
the morale in the unit. I know. We ask about the morale in
Yeah.
the unit. We ask about any equipment needs that they have, any great ideas they might want to share or offer for the sheriff's office, not just for where they are, but
Anywhere, right.
anywhere. What's working, what's not working, all those kind of things are just like a general thing, and we don't. I just have to ask it generically. So I'm like, how's your communication with your supervisor? And let's say which one. So now if you have a big chain, you have a sergeant, a corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, they might say, oh, my sergeant's here all the time, but my lieutenant, he's pulled in 10 different directions, so we don't see them that much. Something like that is what they would say. But sometimes they're like, well, who do you mean? I'm like, tell me whoever you want. I don't tell me. And then we ask the catch-all question at the end is, some people don't know what a staff inspection is. So I say, we did this whole staff inspection. Was there anything that you thought I was going to ask you or you wanted to talk about? And they might say, well, I thought we were going to talk about whatever. So let's talk about it then. So those kind of things come up. And we also send out a survey. So, some people may or may not be comfortable talking to. So back to my ADHD moment. I am an extrovert and I talk a lot and and some people are not.
Right.
And I just recently heard, just an analogy of, sometimes I'm too much for someone who may not be,
Right.
I'm so sorry if I was too much. But usually I try to be as welcoming as possible and
Sure.
as warm. Like I want you to tell me what it is, because if we don't say it, then it's just unsaid. At some point or another, the sheriff reads it and he's going to put it back in a steel trap somewhere, and maybe he'll come back to it. But at least he knows, and whatever. So most people, there's a question on there is like, how do you feel about the agency as a whole? And 99%, I want to say there's just somebody that you're not going to you make happy.
Yeah, it is what
but
it is.
99% of the people are like, the sheriff is great. I know he's doing his best for this agency, and I'm proud to be here, and this is the best agency around. 99% of the people say that, and then they complain about something else, right?
But I want a beard.
Yeah, but yes, and things like that. We get that. We get the exterior load bearing things
Yes.
for patrol. So you hear stuff like that, but overall, we are winning as an agency. I'm still super proud. I can't sway the staff inspection, but when people say they're happy to be here, I'm like, me too. So,
Who inspects the inspectors? Do you interview
old
each
inspectors? No, old ones.
They do it in the mirror.
Old ones? What do you mean?
Like
they're
prior,
retired?
yeah. No,
That's what I mean.
the
Like,
old
what
ones.
you mean?
They're
Inspector
dead. They're
Gadget
dead.
comes over.
Okay.
Clace did our last
okay.
one.
You mean literally old inspector?
Yeah. Love, he's so nice though.
He is nice.
Chrissy Johnson, Crystalline Johnson is
Okay.
she could do it too. So anybody who was a
Gotcha.
staff inspector in the past
Previously.
can come back. Yeah.
You get to see every part of the agency. Which are your favorites? Like which ones do you have the most fun inspecting? Or
Not canine, since you don't like dogs.
Right.
Yeah,
And I'm
no
allergic,
kidding.
so I go in there and I'm sneezing and crying, so it's terrible.
Like that, or even like, what are some that you think other members should really like? They don't realize,
Are
what
there,
goes into
yeah.
it, right?
Oh my
Anything.
gosh.
What
you get
stands
to
out
see
to you?
you get to see everything. We get to see everything, but you really get
Right.
to see everything.
I have to say the airport. I like the helicopter, the hangar,
Flight.
the flight unit.
Flight.
Yeah.
Because I like the way they can zoom in and read your text messages.
Yeah.
And you have no idea they're in the sky.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty cool. But they do a really good job. They are in conjunction with the K9. They're
Sure.
chasing people and seeing all this cool stuff, and they're watching it from the top. I think that's an interesting perspective. And when I rode with them, you know what? It was a while ago. So at the time it was Smith. I think.
Brian.
Brian Smith. He said he flies all the time, so he knows what the from the top of the buildings look like. My orientation was so bad up there. I was like, where are we? He was like, that's that, and that's doesn't. Yeah, no.
No clue.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, nothing looked the same, but he said that looked normal to him.
Have you had any circumstances where you put something in a report and then, a couple of years later, you saw that thing get fixed? Like things that people complaining about, and then the sheriff read it and it's like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm going to take care of that.
Uniform changes come up a lot. Not only just the vest, but I think crossing guards finally got some new.
They did. They're in the works right now.
Yeah, they got their new changes, and then
And that's so with the crossing guards, as I understand it, there was a problem because a lot of the crossing guard population is older. They were having a problem like putting the little pins through the shirts, and that might have been a problem that,
yeah,
they might have been embarrassed to talk about or didn't think it was worthwhile talking about.
Fair.
And then it went up, and now
It
they
did
have
go
embroidered
up.
shirts, or
Well,
they're
yeah,
going to get
because they
embroidered
had to
shirts.
like take those things off in order to wash it,
Yeah.
and it's white.
It is a lot.
and then to put them back
Put them
on
in every
and
single time.
Your fine motor skills
It does get hard.
You know,
for
they
animals,
degrade over
too.
time.
So, yeah, that's fair. And the other they said that the brass would get hot standing in the sun because a lot of
Oh,
times
I
they
didn't
didn't have
think
a
of
lot
that.
of shade.
Yeah.
So they did put some shade spots up for some of them who don't. I mean, because I was standing on the side of like Belcher and where was I? I
Oh
don't
God,
know,
yeah, you're
nursing.
standing out there with them.
Yeah, it was hot, and I'm in my book. I'm like, "There's my pit stains. I'm sweating." Right? It's not-
That's what I was thinking when you
Yeah.
said 30%. I was like, 30% of the crossing guards too?
yes, it was
So
hot.
what do
There's
you-
like
what do you
200
do?
of those.
Yeah.
I
That's a big one.
blow the
Yeah.
whistle and walk out there like.
No, I wait. So I can't interrupt anybody's actual workflow.
Sure.
If crossing guards have a big wave of kids that come, they pretty much that are walkers. A lot of kids, I grew up north, so we all walked everywhere. It was not a thing, but all these kids get dropped off all the time. It seems like so. There's a wave of walkers somehow or another, and then once they're done, they might have one or two stragglers. So once you get that big wave through, then they had enough time for
Time
me
to
to
chat.
ask a couple questions and then get back for that one or two that would come by. But yeah, it was hot. It's like, I get it.
Yeah, they're tougher than all of us actually.
They are eating it because I'd be complaining.
Yeah. So what's next for you after staff inspections?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I did take the sergeant's exam.
Okay.
Hint, hint, wink, wink. No, just kidding.
Did you pass it?
I did.
I would
right.
assume with your 100%.
Yes.
100%.
100%?
100%
I'm ready to
passed.
solve the puzzle.
I don't even know how the grading works.
So yeah, it was my first time taking it though. It was a little unnerving because there were a couple years ago when I was going to take it and I put my name on the list, and then I think possibly the change with CAC happened, and then I was like, I ain't getting on. I'm not even right mind to try to do it now.
Right.
So got off the list, and then another year went by, and I was like, okay. And then I think the sheriff sent out that email, and he was like, you better take it and pass it. Enough of this foolishness, right? And I was like, so then I was like, challenge accepted, right?
Right.
I was like, because I don't fail any tests, right? So I get all my stuff together, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get myself together. And I studied and studied and studied. So I did pass it.
Yeah.
100% passed it. There we go.
Nice.
I like that.
100%
I like
passed.
that.
That was good.
Still, I 100% passed. I love that. So sergeant maybe in the cards? Maybe.
Between now and never, I guess, right? But I'm still very happy to be here.
Yeah.
There's not one part of this agency that I think that I wouldn't be happy at. And I'll do my best anywhere. Of course, it is what it is.
But there's
If you
got to be
get
there's
to
got to
pick
be
a
a
unit,
place that
yeah.
you want to. There's got to be a place.
Or a couple you're interested in or something, maybe.
Okay, to be fair, I would love TIS. In a perfect world, that would be awesome for me. I would absolutely love it.
Tactical investigation section.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
I didn't
you
know
love
better.
pulling people over for drugs and
Yeah.
surveilling
Kicking
people.
doors
And it's
Uh-huh.
kind of like
I was going to say, I meant before, I was like, you didn't go into narcotics with loving
Well-
to get people for drugs?
I should have. I just think at the time it was just no way I could have been in narcotics with kids. I had kids in school. They were like, I know your son. I know your next
Yeah.
somebody. And I know you're a deputy. or
Mommy,
something.
what's this in your purse?
How come you're at the strip club again? Or, I don't know, what is the boom boom room?
Yeah.
Wait, is there a boom boom room?
It ain't
Here
Dunedin.
in
Isn't that
Pinellas?
what it's called?
It was the Chickaboom room.
Close enough.
Close.
That's not the same kind of place.
Only one
It says
boom.
boom.
Yeah, it says boom.
Chicka
boom.
boom.
Boom works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think at the time there was, and it's always a timing thing. I think because I think at one point I was going to be able to come with y'all, and then CAC came up, and not
yeah.
y'all, but PIO. And at that time I was like, oh, I wanted CAC so bad, and I was like, oh, I'll just go to CAC, and then that ship sailed. But
But TIS, yeah.
TIS would be, I think, fun for me, or maybe like SRO. I like kids, me.
Yeah, kids and drugs.
Get them in
Kids
line.
and
Kids and
drugs.
drugs. That's my
I think
thing,
it'd be
right?
really good in TIS. Yeah. What do you like about TIS? What is it that appeals to you?
They are they're very organized. So I did their staff inspection.
Okay.
So let's go back to that. I have, again, I have so many stories and so many different things I did. They just all come together at once, and I might mix up a story. But anyway, when I was with TIS, it was just really cool. They kind of had this minivan, and they were kind of set up on this person, and they all work together, and they watch people. They just sit on them. They're not being dangerous. So, normally we're kicking in doors. Not normally we, but people are kicking in doors and going to dangerous places to do stuff.
Yeah.
No, they're going to come out sooner or later. They can find a ruse. They can get them out for whatever reason, but whatever, they'll just wait. So they sit around and wait, and like, oh, they're on the move. And I remember the time I was actually observing them and riding with them, They followed some guy out randomly. He wasn't even supposed to be out. What happened was it started raining, and I guess his son called and said, come pick me up because it's raining. That's what we found out later. They got in conjunction and kind of did the follow and followed him around the corner to the store to pick up his son. Curry at the time, I think it was. Before the van even stopped, he was like slow rolling out the side of the door and had this man down on the ground. It was now, again, this is me on the outside looking in, thinking this is so cool, like TV, right? Like I could be that badass. Like I want to do this. I want to do this, right? But good, not good. There was the little boy who had called to go home. He got scared and he ran back into, I think it was like a Family Dollar, and he ran back into the store. And I'm like, where'd that little kid go? So I go into the store, like, where'd that little boy go? So he was kind of standing in the back of the store all sad. And I was like, oh, God, come give me a hug, baby. So I was like, and, I grabbed his hand. I said, it's okay. His dad is not hurt. He wants to make sure you're okay. Come out here and talk to him. And he came back out, and father was like, it's okay, honey. It's okay, boy. And he was like, are you okay? And he was like, I'm fine. It's all right. And so it was kind of interesting, the dynamics that kind of happened with that. So as much as that happens, you still have that backstory that's going on, and the kids can be traumatized from something like that. But we didn't know. We just, we were getting.
You got to do your thing.
Yeah, you got to do your thing. And so hopefully I helped the little boy along. It was really nice. He was cute. And his parents came and got him, and then it was not bad. But Tiz is just.
Tiz is it,
I do like the research they do. They know what these people are doing.
A lot of strategy.
Yeah. And I think that's the good, fun part of it. And
they're
it's
going off.
safe apprehensions. Nothing, he didn't have enough time to think. He was out of that van before it
even happened.
Yeah, so that's
These
skill
are all people
and
that
training.
have like warrants for their
Yes.
arrest. They did
Yes.
something
Yeah.
dangerous. It's
Or-
not just
The other thing that I just think is cool about Tiz, if they ever needed like an embedded, PR person, I'm the one.
Nice.
But
Me and you, we got it.
yeah, we got it.
Set it up.
And I can shoot a little bit and drive. But they also go after, if we got to get somebody, if we got to find this person.
Yes.
That's who they're calling.
100%.
It's Tiz, and
Yeah.
they're on it. They went after when they were trying to track down Hartwick's killer, all those things. Like it's Tiz. That's it. And of course, they're all very good at what they do, but it's also just the way they operate.
Yeah. And you have to have a good group of people to trust and understand and work good working relationship. And I think they're pretty good together. I think my first experience was CAC with them, Crimes Against Children, when I was a detective. If they wanted to do a search warrant or something, Tiz would sit on the house for days before.
Right.
He goes to work at 6, he comes home at 5. He's, and they knew. So when we went to go hit the house, we knew who was in that
Everything
house.
about it.
It was just
The team effort.
Yeah. So when you talk about the peripherals of patrol and the things that people do, and just all the other things that happen in law enforcement, that it's just kind of like amazing if you don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Citizens Academy might get some of that and see.
Yeah. They do. They get
It's
a little
fun.
bit.
Yeah.
Good.
Not all the good stuff, but a little bit.
I like to jump in on y'all and get food. And,
Yeah.
Welcome anytime.
Anytime. Yeah.
I know
Anytime.
Citizens Academy. I'm in the back like, hi guys, and getting a plate.
Ooh,
But
pot roast.
sorry.
So are your kids all are they all out of the house, or you still got some you're dealing with? This is
That's
transitioning to what do you do for fun?
All right. Okay. Well, good. No. Well, backstory. There was
Yeah.
a cute lady, and you know what? Someone tells me, and this is kind of a good thing. Seek wise counsel, right? You ever heard that term? Somebody who's been there, done that. Don't ask somebody who's where you are. Get somebody who's seen the end of the story somewhere, or a little bit further
Right.
into the story. So I remember telling this lady, I was like, well, when they're 18, they'll be out and I'll be done. And I've done my job, right? And she said, girl, bye. My son is 40 and I still take care of him, right? And I was like, oh, damn it. That's for life. They're mine, right? Right? So I do have older children home. So I have 2 adult children and 2 minor children. And then I have my stepson and I have 2 stepsons and an adult stepdaughter. So we have a blended family now of 7 children. My adult daughter is married. My adult stepdaughter is out and married. My adult stepson is in the Coast Guard.
Oh,
so
awesome.
I just have my adult daughter, biological daughter, and my adult son. Jesus, I'm gonna fix this somehow, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
There's 7. It's hard to
Right,
keep
it's 7
track.
kids. Yeah, exactly. They're both home. Somebody told me, it's so hard. You can't buy a house out here. You just can't afford anything. They got to get themselves together. They probably would kill me if I told too many stories. So I'm going to try to bite my lip. But they are very good kids. I am blessed and fortunate to have such an abundance of love and a family of just kids who get along. They're not causing any trouble, and they just got to figure their adult lives out somehow or another.
And they're lucky to have you.
Oh,
It all works out. Togetherness. Huh.
yes.
So what do you like to get into for fun outside of work? What do you do?
Oh God, just
I know you're a pretty intense bike rider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So two parts to that story, and I don't know what months this goes in or not, but I recently had a terrible experience, but so I cannot ride this year, right?
For the Unity Tour?
Yeah, for the Police Unity Tour,
Okay.
there's a
And tell us what the Police Unity Tour is.
it's a bike ride from for fallen officers. So nationwide fallen officers, they do a bike ride fundraiser to raise awareness and raise money for the memorial that is in D.C. So we take a bike ride. It's just about 275 or 270 miles from Virginia into D.C. So it's 3 days. You know, the first day is like 110 miles. The second day is 80, and then the third is 70-something days or something weird like that. Miles.
We got you.
Jesus.
Keep going. You're good.
Yeah. All right, so we do that bike ride, and we ride into DC, and it's so amazing. And if Jackie Kaplan and Jason Jackson were doing, I want to say not Discovery Day, but one of the PCSO night outs. What do you call it?
National Night Out.
National Night Out. They had a fundraising tent there one time, and I brought my kids to it, and I saw them, and I saw the bike, and I'm thinking, oh, that looks cool. And they were like, oh yeah, we ride this bike ride, and they were like, well, you're athletic, you can ride a bike, and I'm like, yeah, I know how to ride a bike, I can do this, right? They didn't tell me, like,
Looked at the
Because you had
270 miles.
when you were a CPO. You
yes,
had like specialized bike courses, right?
that was so very different. So yes, I can ride a bike, right? Who doesn't know how to skin your knee, ride a bike, whatever? But that's a mountain bike with big wheels and knobby tires, I imagine, right? So that's what I learned how to ride on my entire life. I didn't know that road bikes were different than that, and they have little skinny tires, and they don't, they're not as forgiving when you try to change terrain, right? So I had a couple spills to get that figured out. So yes, the CPO unit and the bike, they taught us a lot. We rode down some stairs.
How do you ride a bike downstairs?
I don't know. Just go and hold on tight.
Or maybe how do you stop a bike when you get to the bottom of the stairs?
I believe there's
Hopefully
supposed
there's a
to
wall
be.
there.
No, hopefully not. I don't know.
You want to stop?
I think you're supposed to get to the end and then try to, kick off to the side and stop the trajectory of the bike and change the angle. Maybe you can go a little slower, but I think I did it. I survived. Yeah. But yeah, it was really cool. They went down a couple of shallow stairs first time just to get the feel of the bump, and they were like, "Here's it. You got to do the big stairs if you want to pass this course." And they're like, "That's impossible. That cannot be the way. No, there's no way. Somebody would die." But I'm not gonna fail. I'm too competitive. So I jump in and I'm thinking, well, if I die, it's gonna.
If I die, I die.
So I said, okay, I'll go do this thing, and I started at the top, and it was a class of like 12 of us, I think. I could be more, but anyway, I wasn't the first one. CPO.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I watched two people do it, right? So I got to watch somebody else do it successfully, because then I know I get the courage, right? But I did it, and it was not bad, and it was in somewhere in Clearwater, some steep set of stairs that go all the way down to like this weird alley kind of thing, and it wasn't bad. It was fun. So I got my weight up. I'm a better rider now. I'm a certified IPEMBA bike rider. I'm all that. So then here goes this bike ride. Distance and speed are what they want. So I can ride a bike, but I didn't know where my wall was. So here I am thinking I'm going to keep up with this team, and they do 15 miles an hour. 70-mile rides, 75-mile rides, 50-mile ride, whatever it is, they do. Saturday, we're going to go 50 miles, right? So the first time I went with them, I had my husband on speed dial. I was like, if I die, it's whatever. So we rode, and right around like 28 or 30 miles, I hit my wall. I was like, just go. And I told my husband, come pick me up. So after like 12, come pick me up. So I was like, this. I'm not riding with y'all anymore because it's embarrassing. So I just started riding by myself, and I was like, they're not going to embarrass me anymore. I'm going. So finally I just figured out, I think it was like some kind of hydration thing. You had to take these, what is this? Some of them are like energy gummy things or whatever, like not those gummies. But anyway, so you go, those would help you get along, but it's like carbs and all that stuff. So I was reading what to eat, preparing and making sure I did it, and then I was able to go. And then no one told me, so they told me it was like 100 miles, right? So I thought I had to ride 100 miles straight. I remember riding, and I was scared to put my foot down and take a drink of water because I didn't want to stop my time. I thought I couldn't stop for this. So I was practicing like that to do 100 miles nonstop. So that first year, I killed it. I was a beast. I was like, it was like doing insanity, right? Because I was over prepared for the academy when I did it. But so now I can.
But what do they actually do? Like 20, 30 miles, take a break?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
No one told me. So when it was time to take a break, I'm like, why are we taking a break? I'm not prepared. What are y'all doing?
Yeah.
You need a break, right? So it was terrible. But so the bike ride, I do love that, and I still ride even with the team. Sometimes I try to keep up with them, and I still fundraise with them. I'm still a part of the team, but this year I can't ride
not
because of
doing it this
that
year.
terrible event. But
Yeah.
but then I also like running. So running was first. I was always a runner back
You're
in
on the
my,
track team
my
in
cheerleading
high school,
days, right? So after my, I don't know, divorced, actually married, divorced, remarried kind of thing. But during my first divorce, I needed something to do. I needed to burn some energy. So I started running, and I saw one of the, we was doing a detail actually, and it was a 5K detail. And I'm on a post, and I saw, actually it was Kelman's. He might not, I'm sorry, name dropping, but it was Corporal Kelman was running by, and I'm like, I know that face. And he was like, oh yeah, I do these all the time, whatever. And he's like eating it for breakfast. I was like,
I'll do
I'm
that.
gonna start running, right? So, and that's literally
So I
what
just
got me
started
going.
running.
Yeah, I did. Side note, that's actually a good one. Okay, so side note, I run now all the time, but I made it a goal to try to run 1 5K in every state. So I'm doing 50 by 50 by 50 is what I want to do, right? So I'm going to do 50 states before I turn 50 and 5K in all the states, right? In Utah, I went to Utah to run. There's a place in Utah where Forrest Gump did his famous, I think I'll stop now, turn around, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently that's where it was.
So how many states have you gotten
Yeah.
through?
I'm at 23-ish because I did Canada. So Canada doesn't count because it's not a state, but I'm international runner.
So, all right. So you'll just fly in just for a 5K. You'll find one you want to do and just go do it.
Yes. So my friends laugh at me because I'll fly Spirit. I don't care. Whatever. I'm not scared of Spirit. I'm not scared of Breeze. We'll do it. If it's a cheap flight direct, I'm
Don't
going.
matter. As long as you get a
leg
seat
room. You'll
inside
stretch
the
them out when
plane.
you run.
Give me a seat.
Yeah, give me a seat.
Breeze was as big as my I call it an SU van. Do you ever see the Kia Carnival?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like
an
the
SU van.
crossover
That's
SU
exactly
van.
what it
Thank
is.
you.
It's like an executive transport vehicle. The seats recline. I don't have one, but I've seen one, and I'm like, damn, if that didn't look like a minivan, I'd drive it.
It's an SU van.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
That's
They are
accurate.
so nice. But
Yeah.
the Breeze airplane looked as big
Just
as
like
that.
that?
No bigger than that.
When you're ready for takeoff, we're like, hey, what'd you have for lunch? And it's just trying to check weights. It's not a good
That's
sign.
what it was. The pilot came out from the front and he was like, hey, I'm Tyler. He was like, oh, he's 10. And then he was like, this was to the police unity tour a couple years ago, and that was the only direct flight. And he goes, I'll have you into Richmond in about 2 hours, but we were going to Norfolk. We weren't even going to Richmond. I was like,
I got in the wrong band.
I was like, I'm going to die.
Oh, my God.
But I started praying, and we were like, okay.
Made it
safely. It was actually a nice flight, but it was,
That's why they call it Spirit. You're trying to stay
Yes.
in touch.
Oh, good.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And you like to try new things. And I heard that you have added actress to your resume.
Oh, my gosh.
How did that happen?
Tell it with the accent. Tell it with the accent.
Oh, my goodness.
I've been to that part of Boston.
Yeah, there's that section. Back to my reckless ambition, right? I had nothing to do on the weekend, right? And my husband go, well, let's find something. So he opened the phone and he looked for Google what to do in St. Petersburg this weekend. And he said, do you know they're doing audition for Margaritaville? And I said, audition? What is that? How do you do an audition? And he says, we just go. He said, just show up. The audition.
So it's like a theater company. Okay.
In Largo.
Okay.
I'm going in and out.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, you do. Can I name drop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Director Crockett's daughter was there, Paige, and I knew who she was because I actually did her staff inspection right before she left. But when she came back, it was in a different thought process. But so I met her during that, which was very, very cool. But they said they wanted a Caribbean woman who is going to be like the bartender type thing. So all the way back in Boston when I was there, I had a best friend from Jamaica. And this is how her mother talked to us all the time. She said, it's time to go. Your company got to go home now. So that's what she was saying. So I said, I can do an accent pretty good. I am going to go audition for this, even though I have no talent and no skill, right? So they said,
beg to differ.
They said, bring a headshot. And I said, I don't have a headshot.
About the sonnet photo.
Yeah. No. And they said, bring our resume. I said, our resume of what? Well, I work at the sheriff's office. There's no, I don't have anything for you. So I go and I said, listen, I just want to try because I can do a really good accent.
Yeah, forget it.
And I can sing. It was like a singing part. They wanted me to sing and try. So I said, okay. And they let me do the entire audition. No accent. They never heard it. I didn't even try it at the audition part.
That's smart.
I know. But they called me back, I don't know, a couple of days later, and they said, we want to have you here for a callback. And I said, okay, I'll be there. I don't know what it is, but I'll be there. And I got off the phone. I said, what is a callback? I had to Google it because I didn't know what that meant. And I said, and as the Google said, they like you. They want you to see some more of what you got there. So I said, okay, I go.
It's time for the accent to come out.
So that's what I did. I went back to the audition and they made us like read the script and they said, we want you to read it with your accent. And so I did the whole thing with it and they were like, okay, you're sold. We'll take it.
Done. Where do we sign?
Yeah, so I used my fake accent all the time. And it was so good. That show like sold out. Now, I'm going to tell you that it was amazing because I don't know that I would ever be able to do something like that again. The cast was amazing. It was so fun. It was so lively. And it was right on the heels of Jimmy Buffett actually dying. That was it. So it was kind of like
that helped.
People wanted some of that. Yeah, right. It did. Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow.
Right? And I'm like, yeah, uh-huh.
Go,
was he dead or did he?
Was he in a diabetic coma?
Right.
Just need a cookie.
He just needed a
He's just laying there holding a piece of sponge cake, you know? He needs some sponge cake.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's messed up.
This is my most recent new thing.
That's
in
a new
life.
thing. So what's next?
I have no idea.
No.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it would be fun again. It was a crazy once-in-a-lifetime experience that all worked out.
What new crazy thing do you want to try that you haven't done before? You're always going. This is fascinating.
I know. I don't know yet.
No?
You said you were going to try line dancing?
Oh,
you tried that
God,
yet?
yeah, no, I haven't tried it. So I'm trying to get some friends. Anybody?
You got to work a different accent for that one.
I don't think I have it.
Hey, y'all.
I do say y'all a lot, but no, I'm laughing too hard. I don't have it. Hey, y'all, you want to go line dancing?
Yeah. Come on, girl.
But yes, I have to look the part, though. I'm going to get the cowboy boots.
Yeah,
and it's got to be a lot of glitter, right? And I'm going to go.
Some rhinestones.
But I have to
like it.
practice first. So my stepson who's in the Coast Guard, he's the one who's like, he loves it. And
Let's go line dancing.
Yeah, he showed me a couple of things and I was like, give me the easy ones.
That's awesome. Well, you're a lot of fun, Syeeta. I knew you would be. That's why I wanted you to come on the podcast. It's
going to be so bad.
No, it's great. It's fantastic. Yes. I think we all had a blast. Yeah. We also like to give all of our guests an opportunity. If there's something that you think the public needs to know about the sheriff's office, about law enforcement in general, it could be a safety tip. It can be anything, something you experience, anything. Like what is something that you think the public needs to know?
And I know this was coming, right? Oh my God, this is not even going to match, but I'm going to say it. I don't care.
Yeah. Don't need to match.
For the sheriff's office or just for the community in general, it's hard to find help for juveniles. So I know we have a broken system somewhere in between the help that they need and the help that they actually get. So if you are a loving, caring person and you like kids, try to foster some kids and give them a loving home or somewhere that at least somebody is putting some good investment. I think the more positive adults in a child's life gives them a better kickstart for life. So that
was a good one. Mm-hmm. That was a really good one.
That's all I got.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was a really good one. We haven't had that one before. We always have some mix of some of the other things, but that was good. That was deep.
Yeah.
Didn't need to match. It's perfect.
Okay, good. Because that's my heart.
Take care of kids. Easy peasy. All right. Well, we appreciate our listeners, and there are, of course, ways that you can reach us to give us feedback, to ask us questions, to recommend folks for the podcast. And we're on Instagram, 56 Podcast, all spelled out as the handle. But you can also send us an email. Laura, where might they send that email?
They might and should send it to lets56@pcsonet.com. That's LETS56@pcsonet.com.
Until next time, thanks for listening, everybody.